And here you have two founders that have tried to do it differently. I mean, Kapil at Postcard Hotel walking away from that very typical five-star hotel blueprint to build slow luxury, building out a dining tech app that is taking on these billion-dollar food tech companies. And Agnishwar, you as well, building drones to benefit farmers, now even going into national defense. So here, today we want to ask the questions of what happens when you don't take the usual path, when you break the rules, how you're able to build something good out of that. Agnishwar, Kapil, it's a pleasure to have both of you here.
Thank you.
Agnishwar, a lot is said about your success, but let me start with another incident where the company almost, Garuda Aerospace, faced the brink of bankruptcy. And then you had this idea during the pandemic that perhaps the drones could be used to spray, sanitizers on buildings. I know you don't love narrating that story, but that idea really turned into something, it really brought the company back to life. Just start by telling us a few of the lessons you learned from that incident and how you came back.
I think it's nothing big for the starters because every single day we go through this aspect of bankruptcy and wake up the next day, something changes. But yes, firstly, I'd like to thank Nasscom for putting together such an amazing event. And also my esteemed guests here today. It's an honor to be sitting next to a legend, Gopal sir, who spoke amazing gospels. I don't think we'll be able to outdo him, but we'll try. But in terms of, yes, drones, there was always a misconception that drones were always used only for wedding photography or videography, or you will see it in the IPL, marriages, events. But the max you would see the other end of the spectrum in the defense space. But what I felt when we founded Garuda Aerospace is that we could equip these drones with probes, sensors, magnetometers, high-powered lasers, sprayers, different types of payloads that could transform drones from just being a mere data capturing tool into a supercomputer on wings. So and I believe that in 2016 when I founded the company, and yes, during COVID, we had a very difficult patch when the entire world was shutting down, and at that point of time, we were the first movers in the precision agricultural drones, where drones were carrying a 10-liter payload that could spray pesticides and fertilizers. A lot of colleagues here today from, let's say, John Deere or TAFE have used these drones of ours. But more importantly, we felt that during the pandemic, there was nothing to do, everything was shut down. So it is just the ingenuity and trying to adapt with the scenarios that we presented to the health department to say, hey, listen, we'll be able to spray disinfectants in certain areas. And to be honest, I know looking back, it wasn't such a great idea, but we tried to do something with drones. And then it evolved into trying to enforce lockdown, to make announcements, fitting in the drones with loudspeakers, with cameras, and actually the ISRO contacted us to deliver food supplies. So even though the initial idea wasn't something which was very sustainable, it led to a lot of different application use cases. So that's why I'm very happy that we thought of that, and it really turned around the company.
Well, every crisis is a lesson and an opportunity to build on. But Kapil, typically the stories we hear from founders is sometimes you quit your not-so-cushy job, sometimes you even quit your very cushy job and you find a company, you put your everything into it, but you quit Oberoi to start not one but two companies. I mean, why this need to take on two at the same time? Why did you think you needed to redefine luxury in what is a very well-set pattern?
Yeah, so thank you, and once again, great to be here with you, Agni and Ritu, and meeting Gopal sir after many, many years, so it was so good to see him on stage. And thank you, Nasscom, for having me here. So my story is slightly different because I kind of was a corporate guy. I was the president for Oberoi Hotels for 5 years, and I quit to start the Postcard Hotel. And before that, 5 years back, we started Easy Diner, where Oberoi had a minority stake, and then we kind of bought it over when we were quitting. The idea was very simple. I believe India is aspirational. I also believe, and I think Gopal sir said it beautifully, that entrepreneurs will build. They're freedom fighters. And if you think of yourself like that, then I think everybody can be an entrepreneur and you can build. It's just that you need to have a very different mentality. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. But, when you want to say that I want to do luxury hotels, so let's look at the competitive landscape. The competitive landscape is Tata's, 120 years, ITC, where we are sitting 50, 60 years, Oberoi, where I come from, 90 years, okay, all profitable, solidly profitable, great balance sheets. Yeah, and Leela, which is 36 years. So our point of view was that since 1986 in India, nobody decided to do a luxury hotel brand. We did Oyo, we did Trebo, we did Fab, we did Sarovar, we did Lemon Tree, budget to mid-scale. Nobody decided. So 32 years, nobody dreamt. So we said in 2018, let's do it. Yeah, but you need money to be competing with all these strict balance sheets. So I think the idea was that I saw that massive commercialization was happening. And the fact, very rightly so, is that we were not building institutions. And because I got a taste of both the worlds. I got a taste of the corporate world, where they were really building institutions, and I got a taste of the startup world. Money at those days were easy. People were raising, flipping, celebrating around. So nobody was building institutions. So I said, you know what? I've already played the game at the highest level. Let me start a new game. And I'll just start with one statement. I will build the world's best hotel company out of India. That's it. Not India's best, not anybody's best. Whether I have the capital or not. And for the last 2 years, as my stint at Oberoi, I was actually mentally kind of trying to work a way out where financial leverage doesn't do me out, because a hotel costs money to make. Imagine if you have to make this hotel. So we kind of worked the financial structuring out to do that. And so a lot of people coming on the dining side of what we do at Easy Diner, we're India's largest eating out partner. Means if you are not using Easy Diner, I'm not making a pitch to you, you're losing 40% every time you eat out. Guaranteed. Try it. Don't believe me. And the reason for that is very simple. So everybody asks me, but aren't you scared of Zomato and Swiggy competing with you, now coming into eating out? And I'm saying, buddy, I'm competing with Taj and Oberoi, who have 120 and 90 years and profitable for the last 40 years. These guys first need to get profitable for me to get worried. Yeah. So not at all worried. And I think everybody can build anything. And like Agni said earlier, you just need to be deeply passionate about building it.
But you can take ownership of a company as a CEO, as its president, and of course you'll take ownership of a company as a founder, but what is essentially the big difference? I mean, was there a decision that was very easy to take as the president of Oberoi, but incredibly hard to take as the founder of Postcard?
Very difficult to take. My life was only super luxury. Yeah. So I tell a very nice story that the first person, and I've said it earlier, but let me just quickly narrate it again. The first person who wanted to put money into Postcard was the late, the greatest gentleman I knew, Mr. Cyrus Mistry. And just a week before that, I had just done the Oberoi final reviews. Yeah, so the Oberoi was, of course, the president of the company is coming. There was a nice S-class, there was a suite, whatever. And 10 days later, I went on to meet Mr. Cyrus Mistry, and Easy Diner was a startup. So all we had was a Maruti Eco, because at the back they will load the stuff and in the front you would sit. So I went into the Eco 10 days later. So that's how the world changes really, but if you want to build, that's what you do. But I think the real distinction is only one. The real distinction between an entrepreneur and if you're doing a job, and please, for 25 years I've worked in a job, so there's nothing wrong in doing a job. We just glorify entrepreneurs too much. Please don't glorify it. It's just that, what do you want to do?
You're telling a room full of entrepreneurs.
Yeah, but we just glorify entrepreneurship too much. Don't glorify it. The difference is what do you want to be in life? Do you want to be a farmer or do you want to be a hunter? Yeah, an entrepreneur is a hunter. If you don't hunt for capital, for people, for opportunities, you are going to die. Even the lion will die of starvation. A farmer has a field, he'll at least get his yield. It's like your salary every month. You'll get your money. It may not be too much. You may not win the jungle, but you know what? You'll be alive. So decide whether you think like a farmer or you think like a hunter. And both are extremely essential in life. If you're a vegetarian, you're dead being a hunter anyway, no? Aren't you? So decide which side you want to sit on. Once you've decided, play the game.
Well, Agnishwar, you've been a hunter a few times over before you started up Garuda. What are some of the rules you had to unlearn as a founder and relearn because of how fast the ecosystem around us is changing?
I think the ecosystem, especially in India, has taught me so many valuable lessons. Most importantly, is how I had to unlearn the aspect of growth at all costs, because that is not at all fundamental anymore. The nuances of business have come back. To Sir's point, profitability, unit economics, ensuring that there is gross level profits, net level profits, focus on the EBITDA margins, focus on PAT. Those are the key essentials. It is no longer, when we started Garuda in 2016, we were like, very, very early movers. There were hardly 10, 15 drone companies there. So all of us were focusing on building great amount of technology and very happy with the kind of product, innovativeness, and the applications of these drones. But quite honestly, a drone sitting in your warehouse serves no purpose. You will have to implement it in real life. You'll have to get the client to touch and feel and experience these drones, to get benefited from the drones. Even in the Operation Sindoor, we saw that many of our drones in the defense sector were actually obsolete. We were not at par with, let's say, certain other behemoths in the space, because we were under a cloud that we thought that, innovations were happening really good. But what happens when war happens in, let's say, in Israel-Palestine, or in the Ukraine-Russia war, or in any other place, you would see that when you sharpen the swords, and the swordsmen and the warriors become more seasoned. And that's exactly what has happened to us. We've become a little complacent, more focused on the funding, more focused on how to grow, rather than focusing on the nuances of business. And that is like, hey, listen, you might have a great product, but until and unless you make money, there's no point at all in business. So that was the hardest part of being in a deep tech firm, though there are sirs being super brutally honest in terms of not wanting to glorify entrepreneurs. I face that whenever I go to VC meetings. 450 times I've been rejected, but we have still raised money, and that's resilience based on the fact that I had to, every single time I go to an investor and he says no for whatever the reason, I don't just back out. I ask him, hey, listen, why did you say no? Give me reasons, and I learn from it, and then I go to the next time and learn from that. And consistently, over a period of time, I didn't have the good fortune of having some of the biggest names like Mr. Cyrus Mistry or some notable VCs on Garuda's cap table, but those who actually believed in us have continued to believe and to actually top up their investments in Garuda to a point where we are getting IPO ready today.
Well, Agnishwar, a lot of investors have said no to you. Have you ever said no to an investor? Is there such a thing as wrong capital?
I believe that, sitting...
Come on, tell us.
No, absolutely. If, there's two things. One, when you're completely honest, you're just waiting for an investor to say yes. Because what happens is, in a space like drones, capital makes so much difference. If your competitor, who you're bidding for the same contract, is equipped with a 200, 300, 500 crore fund, it doesn't matter what you've done in the past. He is jumping leaps and bounds ahead in the race. And capital is super important in this era of deep tech, because you need all the advantages that you can get. So I believe that in terms of Garuda, yes, there has been very, very few times that we have said no, because of the fact that the thought process of the VC funds would have been valuations, growth at all costs. That was definitely not the DNA what Garuda is. Our focus was place clients first, be a customer and a client-funded growth company, not an investor-funded growth company.
So you've not said no to any capital. But, Kapil, just to move on to the other big piece of entrepreneurship, and that is the talent pool. Because building an unconventional company also takes unconventional talent. And I recall reading, you got a lot of flack when you said you were hiring for your Bhutan and Sri Lanka properties, and you said you're not going to hire anyone above the age of 35. Just tell us, what kind of unconventional talent do we need today to build solid companies that are globally relevant?
So I think, that was a specific position of a general manager. Yeah. I should not be commenting below 35. I am above 35 by miles. Okay, so
I wouldn't be eligible for a job in your place.
No. Even I'd be out. Yeah. So, but again, so I think when you're building for talent, I think in India, I've never said it to him, although I met him a couple of times. But I think Mr. Narayana Murthy started something very beautiful with Infosys, yeah? When he started making sure that everybody had equity capital, from the office boy to everybody. And that kind of was always a thought with me. I'll give you an example. When I became president of Oberoi, the share price was 46 rupees. I quit on 31st January, 5 years later, 2018, the share price was 219 rupees. For 4 years, it never crossed that mark post that time. And I owned 0 shares. 0. I had no shares. I was paid phenomenally well. I was the highest paid guy in that company, even more than the family, but I had no shares. So that can shape you two ways, that maybe that's the right way to do business. So at Easy Diner, when we started, and we started Easy Diner in 2014, so it's a 10-year-old company, we made sure that everybody had stock. So my drivers, my office boys, everybody has shares. The CEO has more shares than them, but everybody has stock, so 100%. And even at Postcard and hotels, nobody has stock. Nobody gives stock to anybody. I don't know why. Hotels are still like 50 years back in their mentality. And that is why hospitality is not able to attract great talent. Same for Postcard, because Postcard will one day have 10,000 people, 20,000 people. It's more people focused. So we said, okay, if you reach a mark of an assistant manager and above, which is like a junior most manager level, you will have stock at Postcard. So we kind of did both these things. So we have massive stock pools, and I kind of recuse myself from both the ESOP pools, so I have no rights. Nothing, zero. I can't even sit in an ESOP meeting. And that is run by the CFOs in both the companies. So massive, if I may say, well-distribution in both the companies, which helps me get absolutely amazing talent in kind of both the companies. So I think one way is that. Second, there has to be, if I may say, social impact. Let me give you an example. Look at the Postcard in the Darang tea estate. It is all tea estates. Do you know what's the wages of a tea worker in India? Whether you look at Kerala, which is higher wages, or you look at Tamil Nadu, which is a different wage structure, or Assam, which is a different wage structure. Ballpark, they make 400 to 600 rupees a day. You have to work in rain, heat, outdoors, everything, climate, for 8 hours, standing on your feet, plucking leaves. It's a tough job. And there are lakhs and lakhs of people who've just grown in that my grandfather was a tea plantation worker, then my father was a tea plantation worker, then I am. So businesses have to have social impact. So one of the things that we decided to do is saying, we're looking for people who are on LinkedIn changing jobs every 6 months. Why do we need to go in for them? Let's pick up some great people from some great local communities. Let's skill like 25,000 people and kind of have them at our hotels, create a different lifestyle, give people an opportunity. The amount of applications that we had for the Postcard in the Darang tea estate in Assam were amazing. I came in the morning flight today at Indigo. Everybody on that flight was from the Northeast. Now, they can choose to work in Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, but what if they had a choice to work closer to home? They should be given that opportunity. So I think businesses, if you combine social impact and then the fact that people want to live close to their homes, and you combine value creation, and you kind of put in a founding mentality that everybody has stock, it's your company. And my company too, I think you can attract great talent.
Well, this is an ideal example. Maybe not every company can give equity to every employee. Maybe not every startup or a young company can
You should go and
to
ask CNBC TV 18 to give it to you. Mr. Ambani has so much equity.
Well, leaving that aside, if
She avoided. She dodged a bullet right there.
We want to ask you some questions now. So, what about
I'm the host
RIM?
here today. So, if you can't give equity to every employee, and if you can't pay as well, because you're still a young company, you're still building out, how do you build an exceptional team? What is something that perhaps degrees cannot really give? What are the qualities that you really look for?
I think challenges in working in real-world experiences is something that the young generation, the talent pool in India really, really enjoy. That and getting to meet Mahendra Singh Dhoni, because he's a brand ambassador and an investor. So those are nice ways to get them excited. But
do you promise them autographs and
absolutely
personal meetings?
Absolutely, if they achieve their targets, that is. So, but we've been very blessed to have Mahibai as our investor and brand ambassador, and he also mentors a lot of these young talents at at Garuda Aerospace. But more importantly, I think motivation levels varies. In today's day and age, attrition is super high. It's very difficult to keep them motivated until and unless you're working on, let's say, a project of significant importance, national interest. For example, during Operation Sindoor, we worked 18 hours a day because we wanted to get drones ready when we are at war, And similarly, when it comes to, we had a project, the Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra, where 1,000 drones had to be deployed to cover 1.3 lakh gram panchayats to spray and to demonstrate the capabilities of these agricultural drones that created the drone revolution. And this was after Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji had launched 100 of our drones in 100 different locations. And that led to so many different companies wanting to work with us. And so on top of challenging projects, it's also the kind of partnerships through which they are very interested in, let's say with a Thales or a Lockheed Martin. That's what motivates young people to stay apart from, motivating them with stakes.
All right, so hire a cricketer as a brand ambassador, perhaps, if you want better talent. No, but jokes aside, we're running out of time. Quickly, from both of you, Kapil, with you first. Is there a myth you'd want to burst when it comes to talent, retailing talent, or even leadership in how to build a company for the young entrepreneurs that are starting out over there?
So just one quick piece of advice, and I read it and kind of stayed with me, which is let the work be your win. So, when I come out and like he said, so many VCs said no. Easy Dana, so many VCs said no. Postcard, now there's a line, we don't want to take money, officially declaring it. Please don't write to us that you want to give us money. We don't want to take it. Okay. But again, I think let the work be your win. So I believe that every day that I come to work as an entrepreneur, if you can think that every day that you come to work, that's victory for you. Isn't it absolutely amazing? You've got this great opportunity in this great country to build something absolutely amazing, life-changing, different. And I think that should be the win. If that is your win, and that's the reason you got into entrepreneurship for, you will always win. The outcomes are important. The competitors may get funded. The competitors are fighting. Means I'm competing with 2 decacons in dining, and still profitable for 10 quarters. We've been PAT profitable, not EBITDA adjusted. I don't know what these guys are doing. I am PAT profitable. I'm IPO ready. From the last 1 year, we're not doing it. Postcard competing with legacy companies. And I always believe that intellectual capital can beat legacy capital. So if you can be committed to your craft, if you let the work be your win, I'm winning today, I'm going to be winning tomorrow, I'm going to be winning day after. If you can get your mindset there, then it's an absolutely amazing, exhilarating ride.
So intellectual capital, and do it for the right reasons. Agni?
I think based on my journey as a professional athlete, it doesn't look like that now, but I was a former Asian gold medalist in sport of swimming. And I can tell you entrepreneurship is 10 times harder than practicing 7 hours and pushing your body and like undergoing torture because of the multiple facets of problems and issues and challenges and obstacles that you'll have to face, be it with your team, be it with retaining them, building products, going after more new markets, handling investors, regulatory aspects, and now especially when we're going IPO, having to deal with all of the SEBI guidelines. So it is not for the faint-hearted. But on the bright side, you will get to know who you are. And there's someone I've been following today, for the last 3 months on YouTube. His name is David Goggins. He's like a life coach. And you can look at him, and he's like a extreme ultra marathon runner. Guy does insane things. But he tries to push himself, and physically and mentally takes himself down such deep and dark paths, because you will get to know who you are. And I believe entrepreneurship is that. It's because when you undergo so much of pressure and stress, you will, of course, you do it because of the passion, because you love, you want to try to accomplish great things in life and such. But when you go through such and endure such challenges and suffering, you do find another gear within yourself. And I think that is something which you should all try to do. And I believe that entrepreneurship should be a curriculum in schools and colleges. I think that we are getting into it too late as a culture. If we can get that a little earlier, I believe the youngsters of India in the next generation would be more prepared for the constantly evolving Indian startup ecosystem.
All right, so do it to find yourself. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being so candid, but we're not done yet. We have a little bit of time to take a couple of questions from the audience. If anyone has a question or two for Kapil or Agni, please raise your hand and we'll pass the mic to you.
Hello, hi Agnishwar, this question is for you. I'm Varaprasad, I'm from FIS. Great to hear about Garuda's story and the lot of potential it offers to the company as well as the country. So you've been seeing, drones have been like kind of become ubiquitous, whether it's war or it's peace or agriculture or health. Where do you see India as a drone culture, as a drone organization, as compared to West? Or now we have a lot of other countries coming up as a competitor, and there may be chances that over a period of time they may eat into our business and they will grow much bigger. So where do you see a bright spot for India, and where do you see where we can really work towards in making India a good alternate or the best drone companies or organizations in the world?
Thank you for the question. Very nice one. I think India has the potential to be a global hub for drones, and I believe that we would be amongst top 5 in terms of regulations after the US, China, and certain European countries and Israel. we would be number 5 in terms of ingenuity, applications, in terms of drones. And the ecosystem is where it lacks. Though we have over 400 drone startups, there are very few like Garuda who's done, let's say, over 100 crores in turnover. Very few companies which have been backed by institutional VCs. Only 3 public limited companies, 1 in the main board, 2 in the SME emerged space. So it needs a little bit more time to mature. I believe that right now, we're only 4 years from when the drone rules were liberalized. In the next 2 to 3 years, when you start to see beyond visual line of sight drones doing deliveries, carrying medicines, I believe that there is going to open up a lot of opportunities for, like, even in your sectors, like where you will be able to transport food, transport medicines in remote villages. I believe that when applications opens up, today we're using it in mining, in oil pipeline inspection, chimney stack inspection, residual life analysis, various different industry 4.0 applications is where drones are being used. So I believe when the applications as well as the ecosystems continue to expand, I believe that the Indian drone ecosystem would be globally very, very competent, but at the same time, it requires companies like Garuda to take the charge for the same.
I know we have a few more questions, but unfortunately, we've run out of time. I've been told to wrap up. Maybe you can catch them offline. But thank you again, Agni and Kapil. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and thank you all for being a wonderful audience.